Hello and welcome to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. This is Live Letter Part 50 and a full breakdown. This live letter was overall much less exciting than many people were hoping for originally, but did hold some important information and some interesting lore questions. Firstly, the first half of the live letter focused on reiterating dates for upcoming content, as well as some new dates. The second part focuses on lore questions for the lead story writer, Banri Oda, so obviously if you're not interested in that, there's very little else. This Tuesday, the 26th of March, is told again to be the patch date for patch 4.56, A Requiem for Heroes Part 2, containing the new main scenario quests, the even further Hildebrand adventures, and potentially the Yojimbo trial, if indeed that is even in the patch, it's not confirmed, and the final Stormblood Beast Tribe quests, combining all of the Beast Tribes from Stormblood together for one final quest. Secondly, they confirm once again that Tuesday, April the 2nd will be the date for the European Data Center expansions, and indeed the new Data Center Lite will be introduced to the European servers. A period of 2 weeks from April the 2nd until April the 15th will provide free world transfers for characters on any EU data center. On Tuesday, April the 16th, we're getting the Final Fantasy XV crossover event. This is now given the name Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XV collaboration event, A Nocturne for Heroes. This event will take place from Tuesday, April the 16th until Monday, May the 27th. The event item rewards apparently include a full Noctis outfit, Noctis's hairstyle, and the first 4-player mount in the game, the Regalia car mount. They mention in this section that the rewards won't be particularly difficult to obtain, and there are just straightforward quests involved, so I guess we cannot expect anything similar to Rathalos Extreme for the time being, which is unfortunate in my opinion, but considering it's a limited time event, then I suppose it's for the best to make it easy so more people can acquire the rewards. A slide about the world visit system pops up, confirming the date for Tuesday, April the 23rd, and this will be inside patch 4.57. This will allow you to visit other servers on the same data center that you play. Interestingly enough, the next slide actually confirms that the American server expansions will be taking place on the same date, that Tuesday, April 23rd. This includes the addition of the new Crystal data center for North America and the split of worlds onto those centers. It's a little ambitious if you ask me, but I guess they are hoping that most of the kinks and bugs get worked out first with the European data center expansion. After all, it's a much smaller player base to work with, so he is hoping they figure it out and it goes smoothly. Mid-May will see patch 4.58 being launched. This won't actually contain any real main content, but it will affirm back-end changes for files for the expansion, along with various adjustments. There is also a scheduled live letter, which will be part 51 for mid or late May, but it's got no confirmed date either, so I'd expect it to be around the same time. The next slide is actually about early access, which they reiterate starts on June the 28th at 2 AM PDT for those who have pre-ordered the expansion, with the official release once again not being until June the 2nd. They show a chart with the dates here, commenting that May is looking a little lacking, but Yoshida and the team during this time will be at various worldwide media events, and releases of information will be staggered throughout on Shadowbringers, and the class reveals, abilities, etc. will be talked about through this period. In addition to that, in May, the benchmark will release to the public for Shadowbringers, specifically to test things out, and indeed will contain character creation for both the Hrothgar and Viera races. The second section now of the live letter contains information on lore and generally questions from the public to Banri Oda, who is the world lore creator and main scenario writer for the game. The full list of questions can actually be found on a Reddit live thread that I'll link in the description, and I'm skipping some of that because they were about what they do as a writer, their job, where they go on vacation, and other less interesting questions, so I kind of wanted to skip through some of those and give you only ones that are kind of relative to the game in itself, but if you do want to read those, once again, that link is in the description. So skipping all the way to question number 5 of the event, this person asked what Final Fantasy XIV character or storyline that Banri Oda felt had left the biggest impression on him. He responded by talking about the one scene he enjoyed where you play as Alphino in the main storyline. Working with the programmers to figure out how to get that to work was quite fulfilling, and now they have this system in place where they can show parts of the storyline even if a Warrior of Light isn't present, and plan to use it more in the future. He also loved the Namazu storyline, where at the end of the questline a specific scene splits the screen into 4 panels. It took quite some imagination to create that apparently. The static pictures you see during quests are actually effects like sparkles, but created as a static picture. In this particular scene the player is there too, and there's no system that allows for 4 separate screens. So they had a black background with the player, and then put the effects on top to make it look like 4 screens. He says it's difficult to do new things with the MSQ since it's the main plot, so they want to take it seriously, but the side quests are used to test out these new ideas to see if they work or not, before being adapted into other content. Now that they did that with the Namazu quest, maybe now they can add it to things like the Mahjong system, he said. Question 7 is another good one. If the Asians resurrect Zodiac, how bad will it be for Hydaelyn? Oda-san says he can't say exactly, but the definition of bad depends on whose perspective. The world's already been split into 14, so that's pretty bad. It's pretty unstable already. Some people will think it's bad, others may think it's a good situation for them. I cannot talk about it a lot because it's in 5.0, but there will be a lot of characters in 5.0, some of them you can relate to, some of them that you won't at all, but it all depends on your own perspectives. Question 8 is a good one. After the battle at Cartano, Louisoix transports the Warrior of Light 5 years into the future. Why was it 5 years? Did the Warriors of Light remember it like it was yesterday, or as 5 years ago? Oda responds saying that Louisoix isn't using a spell that sends you exactly 5 years into the future. He understands the destruction is bad, and so needs to send them to a place where they'll be safe. 5 years was a result of what the spell determined was enough. Question 9 states, the truth about Eureka was pretty surprising. Did you have this planned out a long time ago? Introducing the island back in Heavensward was actually planned, but what we were going to do with it was ad-libbed. A lot of Eureka was actually Yoshida's idea. Yoshida then says much of the isle was leftover material they had lying around, and said if they couldn't use it before 5.0, then they could use it in something else. Number 10 asks, I'm looking forward to the 5.0 storyline. How much of it is done? Can you tell us anything that won't get you killed by Yoshida? Oda-san laughs and says he can't. The guy next to me is giving me looks. We've written about 80 to 90% of the storyline. There's still a lot of smaller side quests, unlock quests, etc. left to do. Apparently all of the voice work is pretty much done, with the main quest done up to at least the final chapter of 5.0. There are a lot of people working in the background on side quests, and at the end of this month Yoshida-san has to begin checking dungeons, and then next month all of the scenario quests. Number 11 asks a lore-related question about Heavensward. Estinian says his blood is more than half dragon blood. Is it really? Is that why he was able to destroy the cannons at the castrum by himself? It's an illusion. His blood isn't actually all that much. He's absorbed so much of the eye that it feels like the blood of the dragon, but it's not an actual transfusion. The power he wielded was indeed that power though. 12 is a quick question on NPCs' birthdays and how they are decided. This person wanted to know if they could be told to players so that players could celebrate them. Oda replies saying that it depends on the writer. Some writers include that detail about their characters, and Oda doesn't really focus on that. They have an age, but birthdays, once you start deciding on birthdays, people start thinking about what date and year it is in our world. Question 13. When Final Fantasy XIV characters are used in other game collaborations, do you check their lines and actions? Yes, this is one of my jobs as a world lore creator. What's great for me is the creators of the other games are often Warriors of Light too, and know more about the lore than me. This idea is a prime example where apparently you could tell that that person enjoyed playing Final Fantasy XIV quite a lot. Number 14 asks, what does a young Rogadin look like? Oda plays a Ro himself and has been wondering the same thing. He wanted them to make a child model for Rogadin for quite some time, but it's always down to the developer costs. They decided to make a Makote child first, and then an Aura, so who knows. Number 15 asks, Yoshi P once said that Aura rubbed their horns together as a sign of affection. He probably made this up on the spot, but I think it would be really cool if this was real. This isn't something that Oda can decide, he says, and says that Yoshida has to decide it. Yoshida replies that he made this up on the spot, but if Oda says it's okay, then it's official now. So there you go. Hashtag horn rub. Next up that's most interesting to skip to is question 19. I always thought the new world was somewhere impossible to get to, but in the Blue Mage quest we learn people come back and forth all of the time. Why can't the Warrior of Light get there easily? Oda-san says it's not easy to get there, but it's not inaccessible. It's just hard to get there currently. Maybe when an easy way to get there is discovered, we can go there as well. Yoshida then says he does want players to be able to go there someday. And finally, question 20. The might of the Imperial Army is on display in the Gimlet Dark. Why didn't the Warriors of Light get their asses handed to them? Why haven't the Garleans been able to take over all of Eorzea? Oda-san replies, if you look at the other trailers, we've also seen Dragoons who can jump ridiculously high, Black Mages that can cast crazy spells. Normal humans can't jump that high. Eorzeans then are powerful in their own way. Garleans have Magitech, but they can't use magic, while Eorzeans have a realm flush with ether. The last part of the live letter time was taken up by an announcement that they're turning the sitcom TV series in Japan, Dad of Light, into a film adaptation that's going to have a runtime of around 2 hours. They spent quite a lot of time preparing on stage to announce this for their world premiere announcement, and apparently no photography was allowed from this point onwards, so simply there's just a slide of this film announcement. All in all, the live letter was fairly average in my opinion. I wanted answers to the questions I've had since the American FanFest. No trust information was covered, no information on the New Game Plus system, not really much of anything. A lot of things seem to be reserved for the mid to late May live letter, so hopefully in part 51 we'll get some more concrete details. Either way, thank you all for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining or at least helpful in some way, and I'll see you all next time.